Peterson. What would you advise to a person who has the courage to defy the crowd, but doesn't have the verbal skills to debate real time? Well, look, there's lots of ways of defying the crowd, let's say. I mean, you could live your life the way that you want to live it. That's a matter of action, and they say actions speak louder than words. And one of the best things you could possibly be is an inspirational example. So that's not nothing. That's something. Live properly in your defiance of the crowd, right? Make your own course. Allow yourself to be guided by your own genuine principles. You don't necessarily have to advertise that, which is in some sense what you're doing when you're debating, because you're taking the manner in which you act, like if you're an integrated person and you're articulating that. But maybe you can't do that because you don't have the verbal skills. Well, then the question would be, maybe you should develop some more verbal skills. I don't know this for sure, Dave, but generally it's useful. How do you do that? Doesn't hurt to read. Really doesn't hurt to write. A little bit of writing every day clarifies your thinking. It's a hard thing to do, and it's an unlikely thing. Most people won't do it. But man, you wouldn't be asking me this question if you didn't think at some level that some improvement in your verbal ability would be useful to you. Well, so how do you do that? You read, you think, you write. The reason you write is because writing forces you to articulate your thoughts. It organizes your brain around whatever it is that you're writing about. And one of the easiest ways to write, there isn't any real easy way, but one of the easiest ways to write is to write down a problem. It's like, well, what problem is bothering me? Well, you can write about that, first of all, to get the problem clear, because that's a hard thing. Then you start to write about what might possible solutions be. And you fight with those solutions because, you want to kill off the stupid ones. And then, maybe you need to learn to speak more fluently. Maybe you need to, what might we say? You could try a class in improvisation. And maybe that's too daunting. You could join a speakers club like Toastmasters. You could try talking more at dinner parties a little bit more once you formulate your thoughts. You have to be willing to be somewhat of a bumbling fool to begin with, right? Because you're going to not, and maybe your verbal skills are better than you think they are, and you're just self-conscious. But you have to practice putting yourself forward a little bit. And tentatively, you can do a lot of that, a lot of that initial learning how to interact with people, though, by asking them questions about what they think and then responding instead of being too concerned about putting your own point forward. So, all right, so what's the answer? What would I advise to the person who has the courage to defy the crowd? Good, live according to your principles, right? And that's not a verbal thing. And you can be a good example, and that's a major accomplishment. But then if you need to improve your verbal ability, which is generally a good thing, then those are the ways to do it. Read, write, speak, and understand that developing those abilities might be of tremendous use to you, because it's one thing to live properly, and that's not a trivial thing, but it's another thing to be able to articulate yourself and to be able to negotiate. And generally speaking, there's nothing about that isn't advantageous. And even introverted and anxious people can learn to do that. Those are learnable skills. It's not easy, but you can manage it. You can also speak carefully, and listen to what you're saying and only try to say things that you think are true. That's also unbelievably useful. You have to feel that out. Like, is this really what I believe? Or am I putting it forward, well, because I want to look good, or I want to dominate, or I want to express obliquely an emotion that I'm too cowardly to come out and confront directly, or am I being manipulative? There's lots of reasons that people use language, but what you really should use it for is to state what you believe to be true and then to let the consequences of that unfold. And so that can also help you. Simple truths, bluntly stated, can be very powerful. You don't need a lot of verbal fluency under those circumstances if there's evidence of strength of character behind it. So